Tom Marquand is a young man making a big name for himself. Aged just 17, the young Englishman has already ridden for some of the most powerful owners in racing, most notably Godolphin and Her Majesty the Queen. Now, with well over 100 rides under his belt and the busy summer season hitting full stride, Tom is well placed to continue his rise through the ranks. Tom, the last time we spoke to you, you did to ride your first winner. Obviously, that's happened now and plenty more since. What do you remember about that first winner on Marquand at Kempton?
Oh, it was an amazing experience, to ride your first winner for the boss, Mr. Hannon and Potensis. It was an incredible experience.
And what else do you remember about that first ride in the race? Were you nervous going to the weighing room for the first time to ride in a proper race?
It wasn't too bad, surprisingly. Going through the pony racing stages and Arab racing, it sort of kicks the nervousness out of you, and it just takes you through all the different little bits and bobs you do when you get to the races. And, I think that did help a lot.
Richard Perrott mentioned you to me, I think, about a year ago as a name to look out for. Obviously, he's been justified there, a bit of a star pupil here at the British Racing School. What sort of things have you learned from Richard and the team here as well?
I think mostly it's about professionalism. It's all about professionalism now. You've got to be fit, you've got to be healthy, and you've got to present yourself in a manner that people like. And I think it's massively important now with it all being televised. It's got to be done.
And some good jockey coaches here as well. I think Michael Hills is here at the team as well. So many former top jockeys are helping you out here at the school. Absolutely,
and they know what it feels like to be in your shoes. Sometimes you don't quite know what to do, and they're a phone call away, and you can just talk through stuff with them, and it's brilliant to have that there.
Some of the young apprentices, many of the jockeys here at the British Racing School, they're obviously sons of trainers, or they're brothers of jockeys and trainers or what have you, but you haven't had that start, have you, in your career? You've almost had to do it from a standing start.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where the British Racing School has helped me so much, and having the support from them through the pony racing courses, coming here for the summer and the apprentice course, it's a constant top up each year, not even a year. I mean, I came here 3 times in a year for 1 week, a month, and then another week for my licence course. And they are amazing because they just prepare you for the things that are to come.
Okay, and Richard Perrott obviously in charge of things. Has he been a big help to you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. He's been a huge support to me, sponsoring me, and it has been good having someone like that on my side, being able to talk to, and just helping me through it all.
Okay, obviously you're based with the champion trainer Richard Hannon. Obviously the champion jockey riding there as well must be a great help. What sort of development are you going through with Richard Hannon at the moment?
It's amazing being there. You've got the best around you. You're surrounded by the best horses, the best jockeys, the best trainer. You can't go wrong really. There's lots of nice horses there, and that's the best thing about Hannons. They're not afraid to put you on them. Night of Thunder, Tiggy Estacar, Ivorwood. They've got some nice 2-year-olds in this year. Logout Island, who Godolphin have just bought from Potensis, who won first time at Ascot. They're all nice horses, and they're willing to put you on them and let you ride them, let you work them. That's the best thing about Hannons.
What's the best advice that Richard Hannon or Richard Hughes have given you so far about? Is it sort of just keep your feet on the ground? Is it not to get too carried away by the early success? Or
yeah, absolutely. Again, the boss has been very good to me, giving me rides over the winter, but obviously he wants me to do the best of my long-term career as possible, and if that's taking a bit steadier now and just letting things roll along later on in my career, whatever he thinks. He's had so many good apprentices go through the yard, multiple champion apprentices. You've got to listen to what he says, because ultimately he's always going to be right at the end of the day.
Okay, you mentioned obviously as this year's Cam Harley by a few people. Obviously he's based at the same yard. Has he been a help to you as well in your career?
Yeah, absolutely. Cam's been very good to me. Not being able to drive here, I get lists with him everywhere, and I'll always talk to him about racing and just general bits about how to do things. It's very helpful having people like that about.
Obviously Richard Hughes we've mentioned as well. Has he been a help? Has he sort of given you pointers, some guidance as well?
Yeah, massively. When you go out to ride Hannon horses, you can always talk to him, Pat Dobbs, or Sean Levy, Kieran O'Neill. If they've ever sat on the horse, they'll always talk to you about it, and you can just get a feel for what they're like before even sitting on them.
One of the first winners we saw you ride on at the races when the horse called a Chauvelin for Roger Charlton. Do you remember much about that?
Yeah, Lingfield in the Apprentice race, a mile and a half. You know, he's a nice horse. I actually rode him again at Windsor a few weeks ago, and he just felt like he needed a bit further there.
I think your first double came Chepstow, 19th of May, not so long ago. How did that feel?
Oh, it was amazing. You know, I actually rode a double at Lingfield and Campton 2-3 months ago, but that was my first on-course double. And you know, it was a great experience, and it wasn't all that expected either.
And Bonjour Steve has moved alongside, nowhere to go, and into the lead under Tom Marquand as they race into the final 150 yards. Bonjour Steve will follow up his Newcastle success, and running up towards the line, Bonjour Steve goes on to score. Sail with Sultana going with the leader. They're outpacing Fuzzy Logic. Blue Top is staying on again. Tijori with a narrow advantage over Sail with Sultana, who's coming back under Tom Marquand. Sail with Sultana getting up on the outside.
We also remember you riding a horse called Serenity Now at Southwell on the Fibre Sandal. It's good to know that it's not going to be all easy armchair rides, but this horse made you work when he won that day.
I think that was the RP simulators helping me out that day. No, he did end up winning nicely enough, and it was just a case of getting into his head and getting him there.
You mentioned Godolphin there. Obviously, you've ridden for them as well. Saw you riding at Chelmsford City for them a few weeks ago. You've had a few rides for the Godolphin team so far. How did that feel when you were first approached to ride for them?
Oh, it was incredible to ride for Mr. Appleby. You know, he actually supported me a lot through the winter, and I think that really got me rolling into the season, to be honest with you. You know, people like seeing you riding for big, powerful stables, and they certainly are.
Not just Godolphin, of course. Her Majesty the Queen has used your services as well. You've ridden a horse for her. How did that feel? Yeah,
that was amazing. You know, and it was very good of Mr. Charlton to put me on the horse. She finished second, and she ran nicely, and it was just fantastic to get that opportunity.
As we're talking now, I think you're third in the Apprentice Championship. Still very early days. Obviously, Cam Hardy leading the way. Shane Gray ahead of you as well. I mean, those two probably the two top apprentices around at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they're both brilliant riders. They've both ridden for Godolphin quite a lot. I mean, Shane's got Mr. Ryan behind him, who's a very good, powerful trainer, and obviously Cam with Mr. Hannon. So I mean, you know, I think it'll be a nice close fight this year.
Obviously, Champion Apprentice this year might be a bit of a tough task for you to try and win that this year. Do you set yourselves any sort of targets, number of winners, any particular season ambitions?
I wouldn't like to set any numbers this year, you know, because you never quite know where you're going to go, what's going to happen, and obviously with Cam being at Hannon's this year, going for the Champion Apprentice title, you know, he'll be the one this year that will be flying. So I think it'd almost be unfair to set number of goals, but just to be able to get as many rides as possible and just ride winners for some nice trainers and carry on.
From the back, Jamil the Grey is eating up the ground, but it's still Johnny Skull from Skibby Mill. Here's Jamil absolutely flying and going to get there. Jamil from the clouds, Jamil and Tom Marquand.
Talking about the Apprentice Championship, obviously the main Jockeys Championship was a bit of a shake-up this year. I've spoken to a few young apprentices. They're saying, well, you know, it's a bit unfair that sometimes the winners you're riding in March and April count against losing your claim, but not in terms of the Apprentice title. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I had a couple of winners in March and April as well, and it does just seem a bit of a shame that you're riding winners and they're not counting towards anything, and it's just knocking away your claim a bit. And obviously every winner is so valuable at the moment while I'm still on my 7, and I think it is important having them.
All-weather racing has had its critics down the years, Tom, but obviously it's played a big part in your success over the winter. It's given you a chance to ride horses for Godolphin and other big stables. I mean, it's sort of becoming, whereas before it was like the poor man's racing over this winter, it's now with the all-weather championships becoming a big success, I think, all-weather racing.
Absolutely. I think you see that most for the Trainers' Championship. You know, Mr. Appleby's gone into the start of the season with £1 million clocked up already. You know, it's not small money anymore, and it's a great chance for young lads like myself to get rides for nice owners and trainers while their retained jockeys are away, or people that they use more often. They're away in Dubai, America, all over the world. You know, it's great to just be able to get rides for those sorts of people because they're abroad.
A furlong and a half to Gallop, and 3 Graces is going for home.
home. Quickens up nicely. On the hurdle, the one giving chase. Inside the final furlong then. It's 3 Graces by a couple of lengths. On the herd back in second. Several lengths to third place when Molly approved. But this will go to 3 Graces. Another victory for 3 Graces. Do you sort of watch your rides back at the end of the day? Would you sort of think, oh, maybe I could have done something different there? Would you sort of watch your winners back and think, yeah, that was good? Do you sort of review yourself, and are you sort of critiquing yourself almost?
I'm terrible for it. I'll get home after riding, and if I couldn't want a bad ride, you're still a bit angry about it, and you watch it that night, and you'll go to bed a bit annoyed, and I wake up the next day in my camera boxes and go back in, and I watch it again when you've got a clear head, and half the time, it was just something small. You don't need to make such a big deal out of it, but at the time you make it seem so much worse than it is, and I think it's important watching it the next day, and actually seeing that what you did wrong was just a simple mistake, and I think it's good riding for people that understand the fact that being a jockey isn't easy, and you have to make those decisions, and sometimes, especially as a claimer, that you will make the wrong decision, and that's part of the thing where you have your £7 for your inexperience, and I think that's where trainers have been very good to me over the winter. On the all-weather, it's very quick, sharp racing, and they race very tight around there, and that's where trainers have been good and accepting of the fact that sometimes you will make the odd mistake. You've got Luke Morris on your outside and, say, Adam Kirby on your inside. Which way do you go, And you make the wrong move, and that's it. They've run a race and you haven't, but at the end of the day, they'll still put you on a horse again, and if that gives you the opportunity to win on it, that's the one that's important.
What's it like for a lad aged 16 walking into a weighing room to ride in a race against the likes of Richard Hughes? You mentioned Adam Kirby, Luke Morris, Frankie Dettori, of course. I mean, is it daunting for you, all these big characters, big name jockeys out there riding against you?
Yeah, absolutely. But the more time you spend in the weighing room, the more you just relax a bit and you get used to it. And you can always talk to them. That's the thing when you first walk in there. You think of them as sort of above you, but actually, if they've ridden a horse that you're riding, you can just talk to them, and they'll talk to you like a normal person, and in fact they are normal people.
It's a very different role these days, being a jockey, isn't it? It's not just about riding the winners, but you've got the media like us putting microphones in your face or what have you, and trying to talk to you all the time. How do you find dealing with all that?
I actually quite enjoy it. I find it's a good way to get your name about, and I enjoy doing it, and it's something that I like, and in the future, it would be something that would interest me.
What's your favourite part about being an apprentice? What's the one thing of a race day that you really look forward to?
Riding winners. Of course, it's riding winners, but you can't ride winners every day, and you've got to be happy sometimes. Horses will run well and they won't win, and trainers will be happy, owners will be happy, and that's the main thing at the end of the day.
Any parts of a jockey's life that you don't enjoy? I know maybe the moment about the driving and the travelling and what have you. What would be the one thing that you find tough at the moment?
It's the food. No, when you've got it's just something that's got to be done. You've got to do it, and you've got to do the light weights, and you've got to be committed to it, and that's just part of the job. Everyone has the same problem. It's not like it's just me that goes through it. There's a lot of lads in the weighing room that do a lot more than I have to do, and there are big lads that struggle. Adam Kirby, George Baker, Richard Hughes. They're all tall lads, and they keep their weight so well regulated. I've got it easy compared to them.
If I could fix one race for you to win in your career, I said you can win it once, which race would you choose? Anywhere around the world, this could be.
It'd have to be the Dubai World Cup. It's the ultimate race. Incredible prize money, incredible place, and you have the world's best owners, trainers, horses, all there at the same time for the festival, and it is just an incredible place to be.
And in terms of a long-term ambition, you mentioned the race you want to win is the Dubai World Cup over at Meydan. In terms of ambitions, champion jockey, Derby, what would be your one big long-term ambition as a jockey?
I think, obviously, champion jockey. It's every child's dream. It's every jockey's dream at some point in their career. But it's a high goal to set, and it would take a lot of doing.
Finally, one thing that drives us broadcasters and commentators mad is how to pronounce your name. We want a definitive answer, Tom. How do we say your second name?
Definitive answer, Marquand. But some people just have their own way of saying it. So however it comes is suitable.
Okay, Marquand. There we go. We've got it. We've got it official.